navigating the Noah narrative with a map. A date alone will not suffice. The Stellarium software requires both a date and location, as the position of the stars changes based on these two variables. The night sky shifts in relation to the horizon as we adjust the time variables. The year, the month, the day, the hour, and the minute. Similar shifts occur when we adjust our latitude location on Earth. And the longitude. We are blessed in that enough detail has been preserved in the narrative to calibrate a few general locations. Most of the Genesis narrative unfolds in what is called the Fertile Crescent. This latitude range is approximately 28 to 40 degrees north. Genesis 8 verse 4 contains a northern bound and reads, "The ark rested on the mountains of Ararat." The Brown, Driver, Briggs, and Strong's lexicons describe where to find Ararat. Mount Ararat is near the 40-degree north latitude. Note the general latitude of the Fertile Crescent. Satellite photos looking back at Earth's light pollution clearly illustrate the habitable regions in the Fertile Crescent, namely near water sources. You can pick out the crescent shape, Tigris and Euphrates rivers, up and over, down along the Mediterranean coast, and the Nile River in Egypt. In order to decipher more of the narrative, it became quite useful to import landscape into Stellarium. I wanted to see the stars in past history near the region of Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark rested. In the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak, I'm unable to travel to the region to get panorama photos of the landscape. I don't have any friends in the region, and I can't speak their native tongue. Thankfully, Google has done a great job of mapping the topology of the region. I'm also grateful for tourists that have invested time and money into camera gear to create beautiful panoramas of the region and share their photos and talents online. I'm an open source kind of geek programmer nerd guy. This would not be possible without countless hours of talented programmers and photographers, mathematicians and astronomers, and those who write documentation and tutorials. Oftentimes, they do their work not for personal profit, but out of interest and to contribute back to society, building it up instead of tearing it down. In this spirit, I will reshare these Stellarium landscapes. So, what is the point of having both coordinates in a landscape? Well, we are decrypting an ancient map. Those that enjoy puzzles we'll know what it means to have a keen eye for as many details as possible. I also want to make it clear that I don't know the exact location where the observer was standing. I've put together a sampling of a few locations, which is good enough for our purposes. One of the traditional locations that the Ark hunters look is in the glaciers near the top of the Ohora Gorge. Also, notice the color of the landscape. Its color is similar to the red central band of the Milky Way, a reddish, ruddy, earthen color. If I were to describe it in Hebrew, I might choose the word Adamah. If I toggle the atmosphere, we can see the colors are similar. So, now we have an Alef Tav star map, and a start date, and a general location. To navigate time, we are using the open source planetarium software called Stellarium. Huge shout out to those who are involved in the Stellarium software project. Stellarium is free to download. Here is a list of configuration settings to make it better suited for this task. Load in the Aleph Bet constellation maps as a sky culture, available to download here. Replace the default Milky Way.png with a higher resolution Milky Way in order to see more details. I also regularly use Google image search to find higher resolution photos of the Milky Way and use them outside of Stellarium. In the View Options Sky tab, reduce the brightness of the stars by adjusting the absolute scale down between 0.6 and 0.4, because we only want to work with the brightest stars, right? Later, you may want to come back to the Sky tab and increase the Milky Way's brightness. In View Options Markings, useful markings to turn on are the equinox of date, the solstice of date, and the ecliptic of date. As the letters overlap, it became useful to have two charts, one for even letters and a second for odd letters. It is helpful to have the Star-Lore dialog off to the far right of the screen in order to toggle between these two charts. Load in some landscapes from the area of Mount Ararat. I found the following locations useful. Jerusalem, which is built in. Egypt is built in. Yerevan in Western Asia is built in. This is a city near Mount Ararat. Mount Sinai I added with these coordinates. It is also useful to click along the map along the Tigris and Euphrates, as these rivers are mentioned in early Genesis. I was a bit concerned with the accuracy of the location of the solar system objects. The Stellarium manual in Appendix F contains information about the accuracy of the software. I did load in NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory ephemeris files, DE441 and DE431, in order to compare the locations of the Sun, Moon, and planets around the year -4500. Stellarium's default locations are good enough for the purpose of this map, without having to load additional ephemeris files. Those who have read the first chapters of Genesis will have a general idea of the narrative. There is an excessive violence on the earth. God asks Noah to build an ark, and Noah obeys. Noah, his household, the clean and the unclean animals, all enter the ark. It rains for 40 days and 40 nights, and the earth is covered in water. The wicked die, and the ark floats up on the waters. After a long time, the waters go down, and the ark rests on Mount Ararat. Noah lets out a raven and doves. Finally, Noah and the animals exit the ark, and God puts a rainbow in the sky. Just as a jigsaw puzzle is assembled, first the easy edges, then the easy colors, then there is a framework, and the last pieces can be worked into it. So, like a jigsaw puzzle, we are going to ease into using this Alef Tav star map. We will look closely at each ancient symbol as a constellation marker for the passage of time. Remember, these symbols are the foundation of our modern alphabets. We will move back and forth through the narrative to draw out the small details that have been lost. Or is it that they were purposefully hidden for thousands of years? Well, let us begin.